The process has to go through, and I think it is important through the process to impress on all parties of the boundaries and frameworks, because I don't think the public and electorates will tolerate another so-called marriage of convenience of sort. They want to see a very cohesive, and that's why this process of meeting and sitting down with every party is important, because we want to get it right, on the right footing from the very beginning. It's premature to say anything, but there are common grounds which PAS, Amanah, and DAP and PKR actually acknowledge. Number one is that regardless of whatever the situation now, it is very important to ensure a one-to-one fight. And coming up with a configuration of a one-to-one fight is something that we have to work on, and is a task that PKR is trying to be the middleman for all. There are a few options. There can be a pakatan where everyone is on board, but if anyone who joins such a coalition must adhere very strictly to framework, principles, common decision making, and so on. We should not repeat what happened in the past. That's one model. We are discussing it. The other model is that if PAS opt out not to be in the new Pakatan, then there can always be an electoral cooperation between the new Pakatan and PAS to make sure that it's a one-to-one fight, whereby PAS can concentrate on areas where they can win, and maybe Pakatan takes on BN on areas that can win. Because what is most important is to defeat BN, and any government that comes out of that, I think, will be based on a set of agreements later on, much in the same way that we have approached 2008 election. So I think these are two options which are being considered very seriously.
From PKR sebagai seorang peran tengah, sejauh mana dan melihat PAS
Saya tak tahu. Kita tengoklah. I think we have not crossed that stage. Ini baru dating. So I think we have not come to proposing. Kita tunggu. I think like once we cross the stage of meminang, and then we'll see lah. Sekarang ni tengah dating lagi, dan PKR memang nakal date tiga-tiga.
But with the two PAS members joining PKR, do you think PAS will be willing to work?
I don't know. You have to ask PAS on that. I don't know. That's why I say things are very dynamic still. But it is important to engage. I put this. I put because at the end of the day, the defeating BN is actually key to everything, because we've been through this stage before. Going to 2008 elections, the parties had suffered from a breakup in 2000 from Barisan Alternatif, by DAP, by PAS, by PKR sendiri. But the electoral pact in 2008 denied BN a two-third majority, and that two-third majority lost by BN had led to where we are today as a country and society. We have achieved a lot by denying BN two-thirds majority. So I think I have full confidence actually. Pimpinan PAS, DAP, Amanah dan PKR, majority of us can see the importance to set aside everything to ensure a one-to-one fight. Cuma whether PAS wants to fit in or not, I think it's very much a decision by PAS. What I can be very sure about is that a new coalition will not repeat the looseness of the last coalition. It will be defined by a set of very clear policies, principles, and even mechanisms for decision making. So I think any party who wants to join it must also be very clear of the commitment.
Macam mana pula kita boleh lihat macam penolakan DAP dan DAP lepas sampai ke DAP pula? Macam mana nak boleh merangkumkan
PKR tak lihat apa-apa sekarang. Jadi I think if you want to gauge my attitude about what DAP or PAS think of each other, I think they should ask them. I think PKR has to play our strategic role, which is to be the diplomats who sit with everyone, and trying to bring different groups together is not easy. So that's why I think we must not assume what the AP thinks or past things. We must maintain a very clear objective, which is to stitch a one-to-one electoral fight with PN in the next general election. And for that, I think we will sit down with anyone and everyone, including, I think, the Sabah Sarawak parties when the time comes.
YB, with PKR now being the middleman trying to sort everything out, what are you mentioned forming clear guidelines and the framework to ensure that the pact doesn't break apart again, but how will the distribution, like PKR is leading the cause right now, but how would, if PAS comes in and says, I don't want this, I don't want that, how do you distribute the power in that sense?
Well, that's why I think there will be few key principles. Number one is that decision making must be by consensus and must be adhered by all. Number two, there will be clear set of principles and policies which have to be agreed from the very beginning, without leaving much grey areas, or in fact, if possible, no grey areas whatsoever. You know, these are the kind of things that I think we learn from the lessons of the past. When you have spelled out very clearly all these boundaries and mechanisms, any party which want to join must ask themselves whether they can fit into that or not. That includes, for example, seat allocations and so on and so forth. You know, because obviously, even for seats allocation, there will be very clear mechanisms about how to decide who stands what and where. You know, it's based on not the normal thing, who has the most strength, the composition, and so on and so forth. You know, so that's why having this spelled out very clearly from the very beginning, I think by itself will help parties to decide whether or not they want to be part of the new coalition.